In 1901, a group of sponge divers off the coast of Greece made one of humanity's most mysterious discoveries in history. Near Antikythera Island, an ancient shipwreck lay deep beneath the waves. And from within this wreck emerged a complex mechanism made of bronze. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary pile of metal. But as scientists examined it, they realized that this piece belonged to ancient Greece, 2,000 years ago. And in fact, it was the world's first known computer. Yes, you heard correctly. The Antikythera Mechanism, one of humanity's greatest mysteries after the pyramids, was a device that calculated time, the sky, and the universe. But how did the ancient Greeks possess such technology? In this documentary, we will delve into the depths of one of history's most mysterious inventions. It all began in the early 1900s. A group of sponge divers were diving near the small island of Antikythera, south of Greece. Their goal was to collect sponges, just another ordinary day to make a living. But what they saw in the depths would change their lives forever. A massive shipwreck lying on the seabed. Inside were amphorae, statues, and bronze artifacts dating back hundreds of years. The divers reported their findings to the Greek authorities. Archaeologists arrived at the site shortly thereafter. Among the artifacts recovered was a small but remarkable piece, a bronze box made of rusted, interlocking gears. At first glance, it looked like an incomprehensible piece of junk, but no one realized at that moment that it was a discovery that would change human history. The Antikythera Mechanism was about the size of a shoebox, but the complexity of the gears inside was astonishing. Just think. This device, dating back 2,000 years, had at least 30 interconnected bronze gears. Each gear simulated the movements in the sky. It could calculate the phases of the moon, the position of the sun, eclipses, and even the dates of the Olympic Games. Looking at the mechanism today, we can see that it was the ancestor of modern watches and calculators. It was so complex that even medieval Europe did not have similar technology. In other words, this device was hundreds, perhaps even thousands of years ahead of its time. So what was the Antikythera Mechanism used for? After years of research, scientists discovered that this device was a kind of astronomical calendar. It could predict the movements of the sun and moon and calculate eclipses in advance. According to some studies, they even used this mechanism to determine the dates of the Olympic Games held during that period. In ancient Greece, the sky was not just a subject of science, but also at the center of religious and social life. Understanding the sky meant seeing the future. That is why the Antikythera Mechanism was not just an ordinary device, but a revolutionary tool for both science and belief. But the real mystery was who made this mechanism, because at that time, it seemed almost impossible to have the knowledge to make such advanced gear systems. Some scientists think that great Greek mathematicians like Archimedes could have designed the mechanism. Others believe it is the product of a lost body of knowledge. Of course, there are other theories in popular culture. Some have linked the Antikythera Mechanism to aliens. Others have suggested it was the work of lost civilizations. The truth is, even today, it is not fully understood how this device was made with such advanced engineering. That is what makes it so mysterious. The Antikythera Mechanism remained a mystery for a long time. That is, until the mid-20th century, when X-ray technology advanced. When scientists looked inside the device with X-rays, they saw a complex gear system. In the following years, 3D models were created, and replicas of the mechanism were produced. Scientists began to figure out how it worked. However, there are still missing pieces. It is unclear exactly how many gears the mechanism consists of and what functions it performed. Today, even in the world's most advanced laboratories, this mechanism is still being studied. In other words, a device from 2,000 years ago still stands as a mystery to modern science. The Antikythera mechanism reminds us of something. Human history is much more complex than we think. There is information we don't know, have forgotten, or has been lost. 2,000 years ago, the Greeks calculated the sky not with pocket calendars, but with mechanical computers. This device is not just a scientific tool, but also a symbol of human curiosity, intelligence, and creativity. Who knows? Perhaps there are still many secrets waiting to be discovered beneath the earth and at the bottom of the seas. The Antikythera mechanism makes us question not only the past, but also the future, because this small bronze box is one of the oldest proofs of humanity's desire to transcend its limits.